are in my family, including my parents, and my family is important to me.
Perfect.
Let's do Julian.
Hi, so my numbers are kind of similar to a previous one. I have 13, 24, and 5. The 13 is for May 13th also. During my year, it was actually Friday the 13th, so 13 has also kind of been my lucky number, is how much everyone doesn't really like it. 24 has always been my soccer number based off my favorite soccer player along with my favorite NASCAR driver. And then 5 would be May, and then 2005.
Nice. Can you see everyone?
Yeah. Gwen, do you want to go?
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So here are my numbers. I did 11 because that's how many years I've been in school, so how many years I've been homeschooled. I did 4 because of how many people are in my family and also how many states I've been to. And then, oh, 2 for how many pets I've had, and also how many siblings I have. So, I will popcorn it over to Yusra.
Hi. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure if you can read that, but I'm gonna say the numbers out loud anyways. So I picked 15 because that's how old I am right now. I picked, my second number was 2 because I have 2 siblings and I'm the middle child of both siblings. I have an older sibling and a younger one. And I picked 1 because that's how many years I've lived in Overland Park. I'm going to popcorn it to Anna. Have you gone yet?
I picked 19 because that's how old I just turned. I picked 10 because I leave to go to South Carolina for college on August 10th. And then I picked 6 because there's 6 people in my family.
Do you want to pick someone again?
Yeah. I'll pick, who hasn't gone yet? Brooks.
All right, so the first number that I picked was 8 because that's the number I've always used for any sport I played. My second number is 19 because that's the number of direct and like extended family members I have. And my last number was 30 because that's the age I hope to start a business by. Has everyone gone?
No, I think we still have Andy. Aiden.
Okay, Andy, you can go.
So I picked 3 because it's the amount of years I've been working at my job. 1 because I'm an only sibling, and then 4 for the amount of pets that I've had.
Who are you picking?
I think there's only one choice. It's Ashley.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first number I chose was 1 because I have 1 older sibling, and then my second number was 4 because I run 4 events in track, and I'm 16 years old.
Very cool. Aiden, you want to go ahead and go?
Yeah. So I chose 2, 10, and 11 as my numbers. I chose 2 because I'm a twin, 10 because that's the amount of years I've been playing baseball, and 11 for the amount of countries that I've visited.
Very cool. Isha, do you want to go?
Yeah, I can go. So my name's Isha, as Sarah just said. I chose 1 because I'm an Enneagram 1, if any of you guys have taken that test. 23 because that was the date I had my dance graduation, which is called an Iron Gate drum. And then 4 because I just like multiples of 4.
Very nice. All right. Well, thanks everyone for sharing. I know we didn't have as many team builders as maybe we hoped, but I think that's just the status of 2020, right? Is things don't go exactly as we hoped, but you just make the best of it and you still try and, have positive experiences, which I've seen all of you do, which has been really, really great. So let's move on. And let's just say congratulations. This year has been, on our side, just spectacular. It honestly exceeded our expectations in a lot of ways, and that had almost primarily to do with our amazing cohort. I was so impressed by your guys' leadership abilities, by everyone's ability to always step up and to participate and be engaged. And I think it would not have been as much of a success without attitudes and motivation like that. So thank you, honestly, for being a part of it. It's just been such a wonderful experience, and we hope that you guys feel the same way. Just a few, just kind of looking back a little bit, here are some photos I found earlier today. It's been a really long time. It feels like this photo on the top right was forever ago. The very first day where you all met, where you were able to get to know each other a little bit better. You probably got super lost trying to get to our office space for the first time. And then that afternoon you met Bobby, as he likes to be called, the Department of State officer. And you've done things like meet with other youth diplomats, you've met with French students, you've met with a lot of actual global diplomats between Bobby, between Brian from the French embassy, to the NATO and the humanitarian organization diplomats who came one evening. And then on the bottom left, you also met with professionals within the Kansas City area, and you would have a chance to kind of mini mentor networking sessions, right? So it's been a wide mixed bag, and it's so much more in addition to this. It was the diplomatic simulation and everything of the sort. So we're thankful for you guys' participation. It's been kind of fun looking through all the photos. But while this is just a small part of it, what we really want is, we want to hear, what did this mean to you? We want to hear your guys' reflections, and we want to give you guys time to kind of think and reflect on the past few weeks. So what I want everyone to do is take a different piece of paper just on the back of the one you just used, and write down the answers to these questions. So what will you remember most from this program? And what has been your biggest success? So those two questions, go ahead and write them down on the piece of paper. And we'll just give you probably 3 to 5 minutes.
To clarify, when you're asking what has been your biggest success, do you mean like in relation to youth diplomats, or like at all?
Oh, I would celebrate any successes at all this past year.
Past year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is everyone ready? Okay, I see some eyes up at the web cam, so I think we might be able to start. Give everyone another 30 seconds. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen so that way we can just kind of have a discussion and see each other's faces a little bit until during this conversation. All right, who wants to volunteer and who wants to talk about Nash?
So, what I remember most about Youth Diplomats is the time when the French students came over and we volunteered together because it was just a really neat experience to have a length of time where I just got to interact with them and talk with them. And especially was the time when um, one of the students, can't remember her name, but I can't remember any names, she was Black and Muslim. And I had just the day before come across a story about Islamophobia in France, and I asked her about it. And it was just a really interesting conversation because all everything that I could look up online, I would find news stories, I would find articles about it, but getting to hear from an actual person who lived that was very powerful. And then my biggest success from this year would be I got a full ride to Washington University in St. Louis. I did not believe my eyes when I saw that, and it was just unbelievable. And I intend to major in international and area studies there, so
Congratulations.
thank you.
That's amazing. That's so great. I am so excited to hear about your story with one of the French students. I think that can kind of trace back to most of our lessons when we talked about like cultural understanding, is this ability to put faces to experiences and to ask questions and to be brave when it comes to understanding each other and being open to it. Those create some of the most impactful experiences, right? And those are the ones that we immediately remember.
For sure.
That's really great. Thank you so much for sharing. Who else wants to go? I want to hear more about what you will remember most. Isha?
So I wrote the panel that we had with the 3 women who came in. That was probably my most memorable, especially since I had gotten the opportunity to lead it. It was kind of something really different for me. And then the second one I wrote was probably one of my biggest successes that just happened recently. I got the opportunity to work on like anti-racism and cultural inclusion within my school. So lately I've been working with the principal, and I actually had a Zoom with him today on starting workshops within the school and creating a religious calendar that has all the religions in my school included in it and allows for testing and assignment restrictions on certain days.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining.
Excellent. And I'm going to pause our conversation now as Congresswoman Sharice Davids has just joined us. Hello and welcome. So this is a collection of some of our youth diplomats from this year who have taken a part in a year-long program with Global Ties KC, where we've been talking about diplomacy and citizen diplomacy and human rights issues across the globe over the last year. So we're honored to have you here with us today. And with that, I will turn it over to you and to the students to see if they have questions.
Wonderful. It kind of cut out at the end. It sounded like you'll turn it over to me. I'll talk for a minute and then we'll do some questions. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. It was like, for some reason, it was kind of doing that robot thing. No, just kidding. Okay. So first of all, I'm excited to talk to you all. I know that I just am excited about the program that you're doing, and when I was in high school, and even in college, and like till I was about 27 and decided to go to law school, I was not as engaged in kind of civic engagement, or really didn't understand how the government worked, and so I'm just really excited about the prospect of like what your futures might look like, given all of the knowledge that you've been picking up. And I really always feel like these things are more fun. I mean, as fun as I can be as a member of Congress, more fun when it's a Q&A type of situation. So I probably won't say too much now, and when we get into the Q&A, if there are things that I'm like, oh, I gotta touch on this point, I'll make sure to do that. And also I'm looking at all the boxes, so I probably look like I'm doing this.
Yeah, that sounds great. Just since Courtney had a little bit of robot voice, just kind of reiterating everything. We'll let you say any remarks that you want to. Maybe if you want to kind of go on your career path about how you got to where you did. When I was a high schooler, I know that I always loved hearing experiences like that. And then from there, I know that some of the students have some questions and they just kind of love to get your insight on. So we can just kind of move from there. So if you want to say anything about your career path.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that I usually like to share, just in terms of career path, is that, I started calling myself a former first-generation college student while I was running for office, because my mom graduated from UMKC just a few years ago, about 3 years ago. And so before that, I was the first person in my family to get a college degree. And that's, and I started off actually with an associate's degree. And that was at Johnson County Community College. And it took me about 4 years to get my associate's degree. And then about 4 years later, I got my bachelor's degree at UMKC. And then I went to law school, and it was actually by something like a coincidence that I ended up considering going to law school. So I didn't know any lawyers, and I was getting kind of close to the end of my time at UMKC, and I ran into somebody in the coffee shop who I had lots of interactions with in the coffee shop. And one day he says, he's a first-year law student. He said, you should come check out this diversity in the law event. And I was like, oh, that's nice. Thanks for inviting me. And he was like, no, seriously, like the legal field needs more diversity. And like, I think you'd find it really interesting. And also there's going to be a free lunch. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll see you on Tuesday. And so I went to that event, and it was actually like really amazing to listen to the woman who was the dean of admissions at the time, Debbie Brooks, talk about law school and just kind of the journey that you go on while you're in law school. And I left that event feeling like I think I want to try to go to law school. So I started studying for the LSAT, and I walked across the street from the Black School of Business at UMKC across the street to the law school and picked up an application. And then I ended up doing this program that was designed for Native Americans who want to go to law school. And while I was participating in that program, the director of the program asked if I was interested in going to any other law schools. And by that time I had been accepted to UMKC, and I said, no, I'm going to live in Kansas City. UMKC is a great school. I really like it. And she was like, well, you should consider applying to Cornell. And as soon as she said it, literally my immediate reaction was, Cornell's not going to take me. I'm not, I didn't graduate at the very top of my class. I went to community college. I went to UMKC. In my mind, I had just felt like I was not a student that is the type of student that would go to a school like Cornell. And it was actually kind of funny because she said, well, I'm not saying they're for sure going to take you. I'm saying you should apply. And if you don't apply, then you're the one who's decided that they're not going to take you. Which of course I felt like was like, yeah, that's true. So I decided to apply, and I ended up getting in like very last minute to Cornell for law school. And for a long time, I felt like getting accepted to Cornell it changed the trajectory of my career. But I actually realized, I feel like it was just like maybe 2 years ago, that it wasn't getting into Cornell. It was like deciding to apply, because the fact that right off the bat, I was like, oh, like they're not going to take me, versus just saying, you know what, you're right, I should try it. I have a lot to bring to the table. More people from the Midwest need to be out, like going to all the different schools across the country. And it really like changed my outlook on things when I realized that it was, saying that I'm not going to be able to do something had just has as big an impact on my future as saying I'm going to try to do something. We just don't always get to see the way that saying like, oh, I'm not going to try is impacts our options and opportunities. And so I think that, going to Cornell for law school was, going to law school was like, I hit my stride in life. It was the first time I was able to focus on academics. Part of the reason it took me so long to get through my bachelor's and my associate's degree was because I was working the whole time. And law school was the first time I really just focused on academics. Still didn't graduate at the top of the class or anything, but I felt like I really just like learned so much and grew so much. And then I worked at a big law firm down on the plaza. I learned a ton, and then I decided to go into the nonprofit world. And while I was doing that is when I saw that really a lot of people don't know how the federal government works. And I just mean like a lot of people don't know how the federal government, who's making decisions, how people get into the positions they're in. And so I applied to be a White House fellow because I wanted to learn more about literally the functioning of the federal government. And, it's an institution unlike any other in the world. It's like there's tons of stuff that does not work well with the federal government. There's also tons of stuff that does work well. I guess the way that I feel like I've been able to contribute to things being better is by, joining the federal government when I was a White House fellow, but also running for office. And, to me, one of the coolest things about our country is that if our government, and that's federal or state or local governments, are doing things that we like or don't like, we can either make those things better or we can change them. And we can do that by working for the institutions, by advocating to the institutions, or by doing things like running for office. So that's kind of my like career path and outlook in a nutshell.
That provided really great insight. Thank you so much. All right. So now I want this to be the students' time. This is up for you guys. Any questions you guys have? I'm gonna let you be the leaders to facilitate yourselves and kind of keep going. So I saw Anna's hand first. We'll start there, and then you guys can just keep them coming.
Okay, hi, my name is Anna, and my question is, what can young people do who aren't able to vote yet to participate in democracy? Because I know that this is going to be my first year voting, but a lot of other participants in the program aren't of age yet.
Well, you know what? One thing that's really interesting about the way that things work, especially for elected officials, is tons of people come to our offices. Now we're doing it virtually, so I'm not encouraging anybody to like try to gather in groups or anything, but tons of people come to our offices, or we have Zoom meetings like this a lot to talk about issues of great importance or concern. And so, you know, just because somebody's in a younger age demographic doesn't mean that they're not concerned about things or really care about stuff. And so, like, everyone should feel, should recognize that you have a voice in this democracy even before you have a vote, because of age requirements and such. Like, you can call your state representatives, your county officials, you can show up at school board meetings virtually now. You can show up and try to set up a meeting with all of the different publicly elected officials. And the same with other folks in different, you know, departments and that sort of thing. Like, the federal government and the state government and our county governments exist to serve the people. Like, that's the whole purpose of them. And, you know, I think one of the things that sometimes feels a little bit disheartening is, you know, you call and you're like, this policy seems to not be working, and here's why, here's what I've seen. You know, you can call the Secretary of State about voting issues. You can call, you know, our county commission about all kinds of stuff. I mean, you know, around coronavirus, I think there's a lot of people who have differing opinions about how decisions are being made about things like face masks or distancing and that sort of thing. You know, I'm constantly saying I think we should be listening to public health officials, but like, there are plenty of people who are reaching out to their county commissions, and not just here in Johnson County or in Wyandotte County, but across the country, to try to make sure that our publicly elected officials understand what the concerns of the community are. So that's a way, before you even can cast a ballot, that you can get involved. You can, you know, and I've always found that it's helpful to get a couple people together and kind of brainstorm about an approach and like, what are some of the talking points or something like that. That's one way. And then, you know, that's like around policy. And then in politics, I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff, call people, knock on doors. Well, in another time when we're not in a pandemic, knock on doors and do that kind of stuff. Like, I think that, you know, and that's for like whoever it is that you think is saying and doing things that you're supportive of. It's actually, there's interesting, because there's a lot of stuff you can do that's not just the ballot. Did I see another person?
Raj.
Okay. Hi, I'm Raj, and I just was wondering kind of about what really drives you to go to work every day, virtual or, you know, in person now. Or otherwise, and really get important pieces of legislature passed. And I'm really excited to see you because I actually worked on your campaign.
Yeah, it's good to see. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. That's an interesting, it's funny because this morning I was having a meeting and I was like, oh, Mondays are still Mondays, even if they're virtual, you know, especially after a long weekend when you're like, okay, I gotta get going. So there's a couple of things I would say to that. First of all, I don't know what it's like for other elected officials or other folks who are doing like different kinds of work right now, but it feels really important to be having the meetings that I'm having and learning the stuff that I'm learning during, like, at any time what members of Congress are doing. The institution is a really important thing, and so my role in that feels very serious and important to me. But particularly when we're talking about a time where we're seeing, first of all, a global pandemic that nobody who's in any decision-making positions have ever seen anything like this in our, not in our lifetimes. And then you also consider the issues of racial justice that are coming to the forefront of so many conversations in the United States. It just is like, in some ways, it's kind of like I can't believe that I get the chance to do this work. And that's whether it's in person or as, in a little box on Zoom or whatever. I learn so much from the people who I get to have meetings with every day. And then, when I get to go out to DC and try to convince my colleagues of, I'm on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. I spend a lot of time talking about how important the Kansas City area is for our country's like transportation and infrastructure system. And so I think that, for me, so much of it is just that, like, I just feel, and it almost sounds, it's kind of cheesy, right? Like, I feel honored and privileged to have this job. But I really do feel that way. And I think the day I wake up and I don't feel like that, then there should be some sort of like serious challenge to the seat, because people who have these positions should absolutely feel honored and privileged to be able to do this every day. I see some of you plotting. No, just kidding.
Nash?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Sharice.
Oh, no, I didn't know who was taking the lead on
that. I was wondering, do you know of any opportunities that you think a lot of people don't know about that would be really good for people to take?
Do you mean, what kind of opportunities are you thinking about?
Like, what made me think about this was like AmeriCorps. Up until halfway through last year, I didn't know what that was, and I was going to do it. Or, opportunities to get involved or to do something that most people just don't know about.
Oh, yeah, that's actually a really great question, because, the White House Fellows Program was something that I literally had never heard of. And I actually heard about it while I was in law school. It's for mid-career people. So, you should check it out, but it's for, after you get done with college and stuff. But I think about that a lot, actually, how like I had never even heard of this program, and it's this like amazing opportunity. So there's a couple of things that, first of all, I would say is to check out the websites on, like, and it doesn't even have to be a college that you're looking at or planning to attend or already accepted to, or I don't know what the timing is right now. But checking out usually in places like, there's like a career services place, or there's something, sometimes there'll be things that say like fellowships and scholarships on university websites, and then on different organizations. So if there's like an organization that you are particularly drawn to because they focus on, I feel like I can pretty much always, because I'm not like, I want people to be engaged whether we agree politically or not. So I'm going to say puppies and kittens internships helping puppies and kittens. So if you're a cat person, great. If you're a puppy person. But like if you find organizations that are focusing on the things that you're interested in, another thing, like, you know, I'm like, I get real excited about talking about transportation infrastructure. And there's like a number of transportation and infrastructure organizations out there that are focused on, I mean, some of them might only be focused on like transit or aviation or something, but a lot of times there's organizations that have fellowships and internships and other like leadership development programs that you know, I know it often happens that I am like, how come I didn't know about that when it was going on? You know, when I was in the age category, or, you know, at that time when I was in college or something. I think that those are like usually organizations that are focusing on stuff that you think is interesting. You know, and I mean, I do this now where I'll sometimes type in, so transportation equity is something that I am very interested in. And so, you know, if you type in transportation equity in Google, there's all kinds of organizations that pop up that are talking about this specific topic. Another thing that I think is really interesting that I didn't discover until I got to law school was that, you know, and this depends on what you're interested in, but, you know, if there are people who write articles, you know, you read an article and you're like, oh man, this is really great. This person seems like they're either talking about really interesting stuff, like substantively, or, you know, it's a professor who you see their name in an article or something. I don't know who has LinkedIn, but like, there was this woman who was working on renewable stuff a number of years ago, and I just like, I didn't know how she would respond, but I emailed her and said, hey, I listened to this podcast, this Energy Gang podcast that you're on. I think it's amazing. I'd love to sit down and talk to you. And I just like asked her for, you know, direction on if I want to do more stuff around this area, what do I do? I think you'd be surprised at how often people will respond when you're asking them about something that they're working on that's like a passion of yours and a passion of theirs. Those are my 3 things, suggestions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we have time for one more question. Let's do Gwendolyn.
Oh, maybe we can do 2, and I'll try to get to yours, Julia. Go ahead. Go ahead, Gwendolyn.
Hi. I just want to say thank you for meeting with us. It's rare to see Native American representation in politics, and I followed your career for a little bit now, and I'm just really happy to be meeting with you. You've really inspired me to look into more in politics. You briefly mentioned earlier about a Native American program for students who are interested in law, going to law school. I was wondering what that was, if you could elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, so the program's called the Pre-Law Summer Institute, and it's through the American Indian Law Center, and it's housed at the University of New Mexico. And there's actually another program called CLEO that they have both a law school. I think they have a law program, like a pre-law program, and I think they also have a university program. So maybe in the year before you go to university, or I sound like I'm from Canada, a year before you go to university, before you go to college or something. And then there's also for Native education, there's a organization called the American Indian Higher Education Consortium, AIHEC, AHEC is what they usually call it. And I bet they have all kinds of interesting information about stuff for Native students and that sort of thing. It was actually by, I don't know if accident is the right word, but I hadn't heard of the Pre-Law Summer Institute. I was already going to go to law school, and it was Memorial Weekend, and I went to, so my tribe has 2 big powwows every year, one at Memorial Weekend and one in Labor Day weekend. And I went to the one Memorial Weekend, and an elder said, oh, you're going to law school. Sam just went to law school. Turns out she had graduated from law school like 15 years before that. But he was like, you should talk to her. And she told me about the Pre-Law Summer Institute. And if I hadn't had that conversation with her, I wouldn't even have known about it. So I'm glad you asked about that. CLIO is another thing. And it's, I think CLIO, CLIO. I don't remember what the acronym stands for. College leadership something, maybe. An education opportunity. Maybe it's CLEO. But they do a bunch of stuff. And then I think there's another one called TRIO. That one I think is TRIO. Yeah, but there's all kinds of interesting leadership and higher education, like preparatory programs. Because like everybody gets to college and no one knows what the registrar is. No one knows where anything's at. No one knows how to, like, you know, what you're supposed to do. It's like they're helpful for that sort of thing. I'll try to do Julian's question real fast, if that's all right.
Okay, so I've been wanting to become a lawyer. What are the best qualities, and like what advice would you give when going into law school?
So I would say, first of all, in your undergrad, you should study what you want. Like, I think a lot of times people, when they're like, oh, I want to go to law school, they go down just a couple of different paths, like, you know, political science, or I think there's a couple of others. You know, I got my bachelor's in business administration. A guy I knew went to school to play the tuba. I mean, he was like you know, he did music theory or something as his major. I think, you know, there's some classes that you can take that will help with just kind of like being able to read through cases and understanding the logic and that sort of thing. But you should study the thing that makes you, that like you're excited about, because it will help you be a better lawyer in whatever area you decide to go into, if you decide to practice law. And not everybody who goes to law school actually practices law. The amazing thing about law school is that it, in my opinion, is that it helps you think in a different way and really analyze issues and problems and get to the root of issues. So, you know, you can be the person that like sees all of this stuff happening, like all these different moving parts, and be able to, because you spend 3 solid years learning how to write, which is like super important, and then learning how to just kind of like dissect issues and break them down. So I would say, I mean, first of all, I would study what you find very interesting in college. And then I would also, I don't know, I think the LSAT changed like twice since I took the test. So the LSAT is the test you take to get into law school. The GMAT is the one you take to get into business school. And then the GRE is the one you take to get into all other kind of masters and other, you know, PhD programs and stuff. But who knows, maybe by the time, it sounds like they're starting to get rid of a bunch of these standardized tests, but you know, it might not hurt to just check those out and see kind of like what's in them, just to know if there's like, I had to learn what logic games were for the LSAT. I don't know if they do that anymore on the LSAT, but yeah, I thought law school was hard work, but I found it to be a very fun process.
Thank you.
All right. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. I know we could probably just sit here all day, but that's just not the possibility. So we really appreciate you taking the time that you had. All of us really, really appreciate it. And we hope to see your face around another event soon.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks for doing this. And I hope I get to visit with you all again soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye.
All right, talk to you all later. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.
Okay. I want to know, well, I don't want to take up anyone's extra time. I know that it's valuable and I definitely respect it. So I won't make you go through a big discussion reflection session like I normally would after a conversation like that. But I hope that it was valuable. I hope that in general you gained a lot of value from this program. I'm going to go through all my announcements and next things super quick. And I hope you'll stick with me. All right. So, oh, hold on. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, take those reflections and I want you to read them again at the end of the night. We don't have the time. I want to hear more from it. I wish I could. If you even want to just like type your answers into the chat box, if you have a second, that would be really awesome. I think it'd be really good for us to share with each other, like what this experience meant to each of us, just so that we can kind of all understand, like, this was a really, really amazing time. And I really hope you guys once again felt the same. So, but most importantly, what I want you guys before you walk away by the end of the Zoom meeting is think about, all right, I had these experiences. I understand what it means to get into law school from a congresswoman. I understand what it means to be successful as a woman in business. I understand what it means to become a foreign service officer, or just to be culturally competent and to understand how to engage with other cultures. All right, you have all of these tools in your pocket now. How can you use them in your everyday life? How can you use them in your community? So does that mean when you find someone who also wants to go into a government position, you tell them everything you know? Like I spoke to a foreign service officer once, and this is what she had to say. Or if you see someone from a different culture, a different country, do you stop and you try and engage them to understand where they're coming from? Is there anything you can do to like help with some sort of like cultural barrier that they might be experiencing? Think about this really critically, because when it comes down to it, that's what we're hoping this program provides, is students and engagers who are ready to use the information to make their surroundings better for everyone. So I really challenge you all to really think about that question. Okay. Next. There's a few things coming up we want to make sure you guys know are available. So first one, I'm going to email these to you as well, so don't worry about like writing them down like crazily. So this Thursday, Global Ties KC, we've been hosting these bi-weekly chats, and it involves an international speaker. So this Thursday is a really special edition. We actually have alumni from our youth programs who've been in Kansas City. They're going to be joining a conversation with a few people from the United States, primarily Kansas City, to talk about what's happening in the United States right now. Because when it comes down to it, we realize that they're confused about what's happening, and I think it's going to be a really great context to understand what's happening in your own backyard. And you can see it through the eyes of like international peers. So we hope you guys will join us. I think it's going to be a really, really special discussion. All right, and then next week we have a diplomacy simulation. So this is created by the National Museum of American Diplomacy, and it's happening through our network, Global Ties US. So there's a series of, I think, 5 different times that you can participate. It's a 2.5-hour long simulation, and this week it's about refugees and migration. So it's super fun. It's like almost like a game. It's really similar to like our Truman diplomacy simulation, except it has more to do with like international affairs rather than like the American government. So it's really, really interesting. Courtney and I, as a preface, will be facilitating one of the times, but don't feel like required to be on our session. You are free to sign up for any of them. You don't have to choose favorites. Once again, I will send these to you in an email. All right, and then next, we hope that you guys will help us find students as amazing as you are for the next year's cohort. Because when it comes down to it, there's no better recruitment or testimonial than people who've been in the program. So moving forward, we really hope that we can count on you all to be ambassadors for the program. And this can be as simple as if you meet someone who would be really valued from this program, just tell them, be like, hey, I know of this program. I think you'd be a great fit. You should go and apply. Or even if you follow us on social media, which you all should, just share a post. Or if you are leadership within a club or an organization, if you want to just tell your group members about it, that's also something really simple. So there are just 3 really easy ways to just kind of, once again, like pay this all forward. So if you've had this opportunity, it's still going to be free. We're going to, this year, we want to make sure that people understand that like transportation, we will help figure out. So if that's ever an obstacle, we will try and make it not one. And then also we plan on moving virtual if it's needed. That's just going to be on a rolling basis. So. And then when I email, once again, I'm going to send you a huge closing email, and it'll include recruitment information, the links to the events, and everything else. And then from there, now it's announcements. So if you guys remember, you completed a baseline survey at the beginning of the program. We're going to ask that you complete a post-program survey as well. So this will actually be sent to you in your email box. I really ask that you complete it by July 15th, so that's like 9 days from now at 5 p.m. And this is particularly important because it will provide us information on where to send your certificates and the name you want on them as well. So if you won't do it for our information, at least do it to get the certificate. And then from there, Erin Zimmerman, she's a new staff member on our team. You probably received a few emails from her, and this is a huge reminder that we need those videos in ASAP. And if you haven't submitted one, now is your last chance to be represented and to be featured in these videos. We're going to be posting them a ton on social media. So we ask that you send those in if you would like to be featured, which you should. And if you have any questions, you can just reach out directly to her, or you can stay on after and ask me any questions, whatever you guys need. All right. So before we go, we do have one more photo. We do have one. We're just going to watch this, and then we can kind of talk about how to close this all out.
I don't know about anyone else, but I can't hear that.
Yeah, neither can
Same.
Oh no, thank you for telling me. Oh, yeah, when I reshared it here.
Today to other people.
Can you hear it now? Yeah, okay, thank you.
The important thing that Youth Diplomats and Global Ties does is it creates connections between people.
It's really important for us humans to be connected because our world or our country has so many different cultures and people from everywhere. Yet, there's a major lack of understanding of these differences.
Being connected today to other people is so important because anywhere you go, society is just a melting pot of so many different kinds of people and cultures.
I think connecting with people is so important because it generates understanding and respect.
Get out of your own comfort zone and learn about what is happening in the world around you, and not just in your own community, but globally.
If you never connect with others, the only ideas you'll have will be your own, and that may be a little unfortunate.
As humans, us being able to connect with one another, it not only opens us up to different experiences and different cultures, but it allows us to understand exactly where one comes from and basically how to improve the future for the better.
I'm a firm believer that people's experiences are what make them who they are, and without understanding that, you can't understand why they do what they do.
Lack of understanding leads to so many problems, like stereotyping, racism, or any form of discrimination. So the more connected we are, the more we can embrace our differences and uniqueness.
And if we don't stay connected and keep that open-mindedness, then those differences that people have can clash. And when those clash, then we're not being productive, we're just being destructive.
These connections are so important because they expand our idea of the world and the people in it. To know and value these people as the individual human beings that they are, wherever they are.
Without that connection, we don't have any empathy for each other, and we don't really understand what others experience and what we go through as humans. And we don't realize that while we may be from a different country, we may speak a different language, and we may be a different race or gender, we have a lot of similarities that we may not understand without that connection.
And so by connecting with people, trying to understand them, learning how to respect others, you're able to create a more just society, a more kind society, and just a better world overall.
Being connected will also help us contribute to our community by keeping an open mind and respecting all religions, cultures, and backgrounds.
Being able to experience other cultures and knowing more about things that you just never see besides through activities like Youth Diplomats is really important that we do stay connected. And I think the Youth Diplomats is a great way to do it.
Moving forward, I hope that those lessons of connection and learning stay with you. Honestly, this video could not be a better testimony to hopefully what you guys learned and experienced. So I just want to say thank you again, congratulations, and complete your post-program survey. That's all we have for this closing celebration. And once again, thank you. And
Thank
for
you
those,
very much.
yeah, thanks, Brooks. All right. So for those of you staying on for the alumni orientation, just hold on tight for a minute. But from there, that's all we got. We can take a 1-minute break to stretch our legs and get some water for a second. And let's get back to work. All right. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
What's this orientation thing afterwards?
Alumni orientation. So you were invited, Andy, but it's for people who completed the program and who are going to be active next year. It's talking about the different leadership opportunities that are going to be happening during that time and the expectations for all of it.
Okay.
Hey, Sarah, that video that was just showed, it was so cool. Are you going to be posting it on different platforms or in email, or where will it be?
For sure. We're going to be posting a ton of different videos regarding you guys in the next week. We're actually considering this week like our youth week. So we're going to be recruiting for next year. We're going to be posting your videos. We're going to be talking about our Global Spokes event on Thursday. So this is a week all about youth, and you'll be seeing a lot of different videos. So if you guys haven't already started following us on social media, it'd be a great week to do so.
So I have to go, but I will. Are you able to like send me the alumni information stuff?
Yeah, would work just fine.
Thank you.
We're just
Bye.
gonna be bye, Julian.
Do you know how long this is going to take?
We'll be done by 4.
Okay, I do have to leave at 3:30, so.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
We'll update as long as I have a decent number of people to help with the brainstorming, but it looks like we will, so we will be good. Did you guys like being able to see Charisse?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I wish we had a little bit more time, though. I didn't get a chance to ask any questions.
I know,
Really
30
helpful.
minutes goes so fast.
Yeah, I really liked Julian's question about law school and everything, and her insight on that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really liked her statement of what you choose not to do affects your career path as much as what you choose to do.
Yeah.
And that's something I've always struggled with, like always.
Yeah.
So even today, like at my age, it was just kind of good, like affirmation of like, yeah.
Yeah, I know, especially with college, that's just so common. Like choosing your colleges, you're always doing it like, oh, that college is, there's no way, that's out of my league. And so choosing like ones that are more in your league, but like there's always those ones. Like I know some people too who have no idea how they got into the colleges they got into, but it's going to be so helpful when they do it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Can you hear me now if I use my phone?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Technology. I've been on 3 other Zoom calls today, and this is the first one where it decided to stop working.
And you can sit in a comfortable bed. All right. Is everyone back? We're going to go ahead and get started either way. Okay. All right. So hello, everyone. I'm so excited to officially kick off. That was the program closing. I will say it was not my intention to have these back to back. It's just how schedules worked out. So you work with what you got. So with the program closing, I am so excited to like literally immediately reopen the book and to already talk about next year and how you guys are going to be so heavily involved, and I cannot wait. For this alumni program, we are giving everyone who successfully completed last year's program the opportunity to facilitate and to spearhead a lot of the facilitation of the program. So what we mean by that is we want to give you guys the opportunity to step into these leadership roles, 1, for resume building, 2, for practicing of leadership and facilitation skills, and 3, just because it's fun and just because you guys I think are really going to shine being able to have some creativity within sessions and lessons and engaging, and I just want to see what you all do with it. So throughout the next 42 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of our expectations, but mostly the perks of being an alumni. And then from there, we're going to break into breakout rooms and we're going to brainstorm material and content that we want to see and we want to implement this next year. And then from there, we're going to come back as a full group. We're going to create a master list. That way, throughout the year, as you guys are helping crafting the sessions, you guys just have a master list to pull from. So that way you're not starting from square one. You're not starting, you know, in a boat without a paddle. You are just picking from a list we've already kind of created, and it'll just make it that much more simple. Sound good? All right, I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. All right, so a few different things about being an alumni is we are going to create committees, and these committees are going to be based off dates. So based on the number of, we will likely have around 12 alumni who are actively participating in the program next year. So divided by 8 different sessions, you'll be a part of probably 2 different Youth Diplomats sessions that you are helped leading, that you are the leadership committee on. And each leadership committee, you will be coordinating yourselves to help implement, determine the content we want for that week, to do social media and take pictures. We'll, like, for instance, like an Instagram takeover for the day. If we're doing a community service project that month, to help coordinate or determine that. And then from there, also create team building and cultural learning opportunities. So from there, I know that sounds like a lot, but all of those things won't happen every month, right? It just depends on what we're going for. So from there, and in addition, the staff will be doing a lot of the planning and the connections for you all. So it's not as if like we're just sending you in. We're working together to accomplish these goals. From there, the only sessions you're expected to attend are the sessions that you're on the leadership committee for. So we're not expecting you to once again attend once a month for 9 months. Is all of that clear?
Yes.
Great. All right. So like I said, what I really want to do today is I really want a master list of information. I want us to walk away with this beautiful idea and this beautiful chart of everything that we're going to implement throughout the year. And I have this broken down into 3 different sections, and I'm going to put you in, well, hopefully I can do that. Yeah, okay, good. I have breakout rooms capabilities. I'm going to split you into 3 different breakout rooms. One is going to be talking about the professional development portion. So this might include the resume building. This would include the business panels and the mentoring sessions. These are the professional skills that you all feel would be beneficial for yourself and other high schoolers to have throughout this program. The second breakout room is going to include what are potential community service activities we can coordinate together. This could just be organizations that you know that you can volunteer with, general things that you guys can do as a group to give back to the community. And I will say this one might require a little bit more creative thinking because, especially in a virtual world, I think what's going to stay virtual the longest is service. I wouldn't anticipate being able to volunteer in person very easily for a minimum another year. So it might be really good to think of virtual volunteer activities. Off the top of my head the other day, I thought of like if you guys want to do like a clothing drive together, something like that, just as an example. And then the third one is team building and cultural learning opportunities. So not only are we preparing you guys for like a workforce, we're preparing you for a global workforce. So how are we going to prepare the next iteration of Youth Diplomats to be culturally minded? And that one in particular, we can help a lot with since we have, well, hopefully we have international visitors come into Kansas City in the future. Who knows when, but hopefully they will continue coming. So that's kind of what we're thinking. I want to know before we go into breakout rooms, what are your initial thoughts? Is there another component that I'm forgetting that we need to make sure to provide the next cohort? Do you think that sounds good? Tell me your thoughts.
Personally, everything you said sounds good to me.
Great. All right, well, I will take your word for it. So I'm just going to randomly split you into the different topics because from there we're going to come back as a group and we'll talk about them and I'll write them all down. So we're just going to split off into groups, and I don't know if Andy's back yet. I know you just got back, so you guys will help each other get up to speed. Once again, I'm just trying, and this will probably be for, how long do you think we need? Probably 10 minutes?
Yeah, about 10 minutes should be good.
Yeah, I'll do 10 minutes in the breakout rooms, and I'll jump in and out to make sure you guys are doing okay. And then we'll come back, brainstorm, and we'll move forward.
Awesome. And just to reiterate, part of the idea of us being, or of you as alumni being involved in some of the activities, or some of these things can be things that we did last year that you really enjoyed, that you think other students should participate in and in with. And so, yeah, a combination of new ideas and just favorites from the year.
Yep. Sorry, it takes time to. Assign breakout rooms.
And
Alright,
while she's splitting you off, the other thing I'll mention, in terms of alumni, so all of the youth diplomats who participated this year will be considered alumni of the program, which means those of you who are part of this group and those that aren't, the goal is to have a couple key big programs throughout the year. For example, last December when we had the officials from NATO and the US missions, events like that, being able to invite all current students from the 2020-2021 cohort and all of the alumni. So the biggest and most exciting events, everyone will be invited to. And then with the planning and the leadership committee pieces of it, there will just be some extra things that you'll be invited to help lead us throughout the year.
Yep. All right. I think I got everything done correctly. I'm going to go ahead and open them up. Like I said, we'll jump in between. If you get done early, feel free to come back or however it goes. Make sure you know each other's names and where you come from when you open up the rooms. See you soon. Okay. How do I have you go
Hello.
to a breakout? I can't have you go to a breakout room because I don't know, like, do I have to take both of you there?
I don't know. No, it's fine. You can just leave me here. I can't believe, like, I have not had any problems with my computer or my microphone or Zoom at all.
Yeah.
And that it was today, like, the most important, in my mind, conversation of the summer for me to, like, not have tech issues.
Mm. Oh, you work past them. I mean, they happen, but then
That's why there's two of us.
Yeah.
And why having co-hosts for events is not a question. It is a must.
Yeah, you can't just do an event by yourself ever. Virtual event by yourself. It's impossible.
No.
We're gonna have to ask Erin to take out this part of the recording.
Well, because did we ask Charisse if we could specifically record and use anything? Yeah, I would say if she wants to pull a couple clips, and then before we do anything with them, we double check on things.
But I don't want to do anything with it anyway, rather than just like keep it, like you said, for organizational purposes. Like,
there might be a good 30-second clip that we can pull just to write thank you social media posts.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I didn't tell them which one they have to do.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, go. I will wait here.
So let's start with the very first breakout room, professional development. What were some of the ideas you guys talked about?
I think quite a few. We started talking about small business leaders, like meeting with small business leaders. Just learning about from their experience and how they run business, and I think that'd be a good opportunity for us. Second thing we talked about were mock interviews. So I know you guys have been doing some of those virtually, so just continuing to do that and continue to give that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Also more resume building and pitch ideas. So just like pitching ourselves and that kind of thing. Yeah, and then our third idea was meeting with people from the Department of State, continuing to do that, meeting with foreign service officers. Our fourth idea was to meet at a law firm if it's safe to, and if not, meet virtually, meet with lawyers, that kind of thing.
So I have a question. What do you think would be the most value? What value you're hoping to get from meeting with a law firm? Like, what do you think they would value learning about? What should be some of the main topics of conversation?
Maybe what brought them to where they are, like their career path, and I know that the law field is very diverse. There's a lot of different avenues that people go into,
So maybe just meeting with a kind of variety of people
Mhm.
and what they do.
Mhm.
And then I guess to add on to that, I think another good subject, if we were to do the law firm thing, is to see how we can get like service opportunities or having internships with that law firm, or how you be able to go about that.
Yeah.
Kind of an introduction to that.
Oh yeah.
And then, so adding on to the first one that we had, meeting with small business owners, we were kind of also thinking of simulating kind of the thing that we did with NATO, where it was like you had one-on-one meetings and then switched every so often. And so we were also thinking about just like small business owners, like people in the consulting business, public sector, like just having like a variety of different people. And so that way we were thinking like spending the first part of it just having them give a background, and then the second part of it would be like the one-on-one. And then I'll let you finish typing that up.
Oh yeah, I'm a fast typer, thankfully, so I can keep up.
And then lastly, it was creating like the problem-solving mindset. So like kind of what Sharice Davids was talking about, where you look at things like kind of logically and analytically and kind of find a root cause, and like just kind of learning a way to like approach problems.
Yeah. So would this be its like own session? So okay.
Yeah, depending on how we want to like put things together, that could technically go with, I guess, the resume building / personal pitch training. We could kind of put those all together. But
yeah. So you mean kind of like a problem solving like exercises or activities or like workshop almost?
yeah, so like the way I got this idea was, so I'm in a business club called DECA, and what we do is we get a case situation, and so there's like some problem with this business, and then we have to present our solution to the judge. So learning how, when you have problems, how to approach them, like the best way to kind of figure out a solution, like that kind of thing.
Absolutely. I totally know what you mean now. That makes a lot of sense.
Aiden also talked about having more optional meetings.
More
I know there's a couple more optional meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess more specifically, I know we were talking about like maybe not more so meetings, but opportunities. I think one opportunity that I remember being really interested in was like having Malaysian representatives come to your house, have dinner, like stuff like that, so you can be more involved and learn about their jobs and what they're doing.
Yeah. So we call that home hospitality. Yeah. And then this will be like special IVLP guests, like the NATO one we had. And then maybe, you know how we took we kind of did newscast. One of the intentions of the newscast was to provide like everyone like opportunities for special events that they can attend that aren't like necessarily Global Ties affiliated. So maybe we can just like expand upon that a little bit and like make sure that we always have like a good running list of optional events around town that they could attend. I think it's kind of what you're going off of too.
And I think that was all our ideas, Gwen and Aiden. Am I right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's all of them.
I do have to hop off now, so.
Okay. Bye, Isha. It's great seeing you. See you soon.
See ya.
All right. That is a wonderful list. That's really exciting. So definitely somewhere great to start. You know, just moving forward, the very first session, the committee who's in charge of it, they can like look at this list and like, okay, very first session, what do we have to choose from? I think we should really start with some resume building so that moving forward, the people that they meet with, you always have a good resume in hand, for instance. So that's really exciting. So opening it up to everyone, are there any additional thoughts? Is there anything else anyone wants us to add to this list, or additions or additives that you'd like to put in? Yeah. Gwen.
Is that specifically for the professional development or just for any of them?
Let's take a professional development for now, and then after each section, we'll kind of do that.
Or Ashlyn for later then.
Okay. All right. So regarding professional development, is anyone who necessarily wasn't on this little task group want to say anything? I can't see everyone.
Maybe like a list of resources, like someone already kind of said resources list, but like one for internships and different opportunities for people our age. So like if there's different topics, like someone wants to go into medicine, someone else wants to go into law, and someone else wants to go into working for the government, then like what are the different ways that they can get more involved right now?
It's a really good idea.
Going off of what Raj said, I think along with the mock interviews and resume building, if we also did like a college workshop kind of thing, just like talking about skills you might need in applying colleges, some tips and what we should be doing to prepare for that, and how just as high school what we could do to further our interest into whatever field we want to go in. I think that would be really helpful for especially us going into college in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I definitely agree. I think it'd be really good maybe to have like a college panel, like a panel of like college admission officers maybe from different universities surrounding the area. Well, workshop/panel. Yeah, that's a great idea. Anything else you guys want to add? You can just speak up because I can't see everyone's hands right now since I'm sharing my screen. Okay, awesome. I love that list. You guys, I'm very excited to see all your creativity. All right. Next, group number 2, our cultural learning team building. What do you got?
Okay, so can I say the volunteer one first?
Yeah.
Before we do okay. So we just had one idea for volunteering, which was to have Zoom calls with local nonprofits. Like, for example, I know my mom, who is the director of communications at a local nonprofit, would have loved to talk to this year's cohort about different opportunities in the community and with Children International. So I think that would be really fun, and she would like to talk to next year's cohort as well. So.
Love it. So during those calls, you can learn about their mission, how to get involved, value to communities and the world at large. What else would you add to this list?
Just cultural awareness as well. We kind of don't know a lot about youth in other countries. We learn a lot about what adults do in other countries to help to sort of help their economies, but we don't learn a lot about what the youth in other countries are doing and the positions that they're in as opposed to us. So I think that would be really important to learn about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that sounds great. All right. So do you guys have anything for cultural learning and team building?
Yeah, we do. I don't know if anybody else wants to say it.
I think you're being put in.
Okay, I'll say it. So for team building, I mean, this was kind of a mix between team building and cultural learning, but our idea was to have them vote on different cuisines to either cook or order or learn about, and then sort of meet and have like a lunch, kind of like we used to do when we met in person. So I thought that might be a really cool idea.
I love that so much.
Okay, good. And then also, for cultural learning, bringing in people we know personally, and having them share their experiences on like sort of whatever they want to talk about, different cultures, so that we can have more knowledge. And it would be cool if it was people that we personally know, and just bringing people from our lives.
Can I take this a step further and mention that we have such an awesome diversity within we have it in this cohort, and I know we're gonna have it in next cohort. So maybe just throwing the idea out of, you don't even have to bring in people. Maybe just like youth diplomats in general can talk about some of the culturally, like how they identify, like some things they're excited to share with other youth diplomats.
For sure, yeah. That's it. That's all I got. So.
I love it. Okay, what else? How else do we want to make sure that you guys and the next cohort walk away like culturally aware?
I had an idea for cultural learning.
Yeah.
I was wondering if we could maybe get involved with the local Native American tribes. I know that part of global learning is also learning about the native culture of your country. I think a lot of people don't get that through school and that kind of thing. So I know for the Chickasaw tribe, they have Kansas City meetings. So maybe if we could get some of the leaders from that and have them kind of talk about Chickasaw culture. I think there are also some local tribes to Missouri. So just anything like that, I think that would be a really cool opportunity.
Absolutely. I think that would be phenomenal. And especially because I always think it's such a value of this program to learn more about your own surroundings, and especially with like local tribes, being able to understand like the history and like the context of like the native populations that are from here.
I think that would be awesome.
I got one idea. All right, so like I was thinking about if you did like a cultural immersion, kind of like a field trip, where you could probably do where you take like the cohorts for next year, probably to like an ethnic festival or something like that. Like I remember my community, my mom's Nigerian, so she had ties to this group that would have like I'd say like a dance fest where you would meet people from all over, like West Africa and all that.
Yeah, I would love that. And that goes to like the other students' input of more optional activities, because it's possible that the festivals won't align with our specific schedule, but those are situations we can always provide, like, let's all coordinate this optional activity together.
Yeah, like kind of just going along with that, there's like usually an like festival for all the different like Asian countries at the Sheraton every year, and there's like an India Fest every year. So like those have like a lot of cool like different dances from different countries and clothes you can buy and food you can try and that kind of thing too. So it's a really good idea.
Yeah, that'd be super fun. Absolutely, we are in. Okay, I like this. I like the idea that it's like personal face-to-face interactions, like, because you get culturally aware by just practicing like anything else. So that's really neat. Sounds good. All right. Anything else someone wants to add to this list?
Would it be all right for us to email you with other ideas that we had later on?
Oh, of course. Every time. And also, so I don't know if you guys have used this, but I will see how it works. I created a Slack channel for everyone. So for the alumni together to have a Slack where you guys can brainstorm all these ideas. You guys can break off in your committees and create specific channels, and we can coordinate communication that way, because I know it's hard. Email is really cumbersome when it just goes back and forth. So I'll get that all set up for everyone. It is created. I'm still going through and creating the channels how I want it to, but expect that email soon. So I think that'll be another great way. But in the meantime, never hesitate to email me with anything ever, especially cool brainstorming. All right, anything else people want to add before we move on? All right. Okay, community service, last but not least. What do we have?
All right.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. How I screenshot the list, but Raj, you want to go first, or anyone else?
Sure, I can. Okay, so some of the ideas that we had were like about creating flyers and infographics. Like recently on Instagram and stuff, you'll like see different infographics and places to like see research and have resources to like call and sign petitions and different things. So kind of that kind of thing, but for maybe COVID, for different things, different issues that are happening in the world. Our second idea was like
I'm sorry. Can you go back to your first one? I am so social media unaware. I'm not exactly understanding what you mean. Like,
okay, so like there'll be like posts that people can post on their story. So like an Instagram account can like post something on their account, and someone can see that and be like, oh, I want to share this with people that follow me, so they can put it on their Instagram story. And when you do that, you can essentially, whoever like sees that story can go back and click on that post. And we were saying like we want that post to be like an infographic or kind of a graphic image of, you know, the different resources for some kind of situation that's happening in the world, or the different petitions you can sign, or the different numbers you can call, or how you can donate, or that kind of thing. Like kind of a list, but because you know when you post something, you can do different images. So like in those 10 images, maybe some basic information about that issue, and then the resources, and then maybe something else like that.
I love that idea. Okay, I would have never thought of that. That's amazing. Sorry. All right, what was your second idea?
So one of the mentors in the speed networking, I remember that he said that he did a lot of work with the Rotary Club of Kansas City, and they do a lot of volunteer work. So maybe we could reach out to them and see what they're kind of up to, and how we could help out with that.
Yes.
And then we thought of calling people to ask if they need supplies and resources. So if there are any organizations that are like doing that already, because I bet there probably are like organizations where people can sign up and say we need these resources or this kind of thing if they're, you know, older or immunocompromised. Then that's something that we wanted to look into. And then calling local food banks and coordinating drives with stores if they need help, like collecting different products and that kind of thing.
And also like one other thing for like community involvement to like get everyone like raise some spirits or whatever is like something kind of like a drive-in movie theater where like let's say every once in a while we hold like a movie, people tune into like a radio station, then like drive up to a specific location and watch. That way you like have like some community engagement and like still maintain like social distancing and all that.
So would like an actual movie be playing?
Maybe, or you could have like something, anything like a presentation, movie. I don't know.
Festival. It could be a documentary. It could be anything.
It would be fun to do like cultural learning or team building.
Yeah.
That's super fun. I love that. Drive-in movie theater. And like even if we play like a documentary like regarding the Syrian refugees or something, you know.
For sure. Also, another thing that we talked about were like maybe creating care packages for like the homeless folk right now, especially since like during COVID they're probably getting hit like extra hard as usual. So they'd probably need like, let's say, supplies, masks, all that.
I love that.
And like on that note, we were talking about, my school did this thing with this organization, and I looked it up just now, but because I couldn't remember the name, but they're called bags to beds, and they take plastic bags and they make them into beds for the homeless population, and they're really like, it takes a lot of bags. It takes like 800 to 1,000 bags, so like they've only made like maybe 200, but with the help of like schools and different communities, they can collect a lot of bags, and then those groups can also make these different parts on how to make the mat, and it's a really cool way to keep, you know, the mats out of the landfill and also help create some kind of comfort for the homeless population.
Yeah, absolutely. So like just just general homeless outreach. I love that.
Just checking back at the list real quick. I think we also wrote down like I think it was like on the wellness checks where like you call people and ask if they need anything. You could also have like different groups like help deliver them in case like people are unable to like reach out. Like you could have people leave it on the doorstep and then continue onto like next area or whatever.
So this is correlated to what? Like, is this like another activity you think? Yeah. So wellness checks, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Yusra was saying that she on the UN website. Do you want to go ahead and explain what you were talking about?
Yeah, I can explain that. So basically, I was also looking for like ways I could volunteer like virtually, like online, and I went to the United Nations Volunteers website, and they basically have like this really long like list, like almost like a search engine of a bunch of opportunities where you can volunteer, even to like other countries. So I can do like calls for applications. You can help someone who's running an organization. You can translate like from country to country, and I'm not really sure like if this is like if we can do it. I'm not sure what the age limit is. I don't know if it's like 18 plus or something, but just for like general ideas or opportunities, we can just go to the United Nations website. It's called the United Nations volunteer website.
Great. Yeah, Raj posted the link. Are you still there, Yusra?
Yeah, so I thought that would be an interesting way to like get a lot more ideas.
Exactly. Like if we just have a resource that we can just always go to, I mean, that's super, super helpful.
And then one last thing that I just thought of was registering to vote. So some of us are going to be old enough to register to vote. So definitely do that. And also I know of one of my friends from a campaign, I know he's trying to do like a drive to, not really a drive, but like a campaign to get a lot of teens registered to vote. Doesn't matter what political affiliation, where you live in Kansas or Missouri, but like just go get registered to vote and kind of remember the importance of that. So there's a lot of cool ways that you can just be active by just voting.
Very, very exciting. I love that one. All right. Anything else people want to add to community service? Anyone from the full group? All right. Well, this is a wonderful, wonderful list, and I'm so excited to see it come to fruition. I think with it just being 2 hours and people having to go, I think it's good for us to let our brains stop here. That way, going forward, you guys might continue to have ideas. Tell them to us. Write them down immediately or email them to me immediately or yourself, whatever. Moving forward, I'm going to create a alumni Google Drive. So, and I'll make sure you all have access to it. So with this, it'll have all pertinent program information that you guys need, and this will be in there. So that way this can be almost like a moving doc that stays updated as we need it. Also, you are going to be receiving a invitation to Slack. So hopefully we can get that going. I think it's going to be a perfect tool for all of us to talk with each other and brainstorm as we move forward. If we need to do some sort of like mini training on it, we can definitely do that. I could probably do it in like 15 minutes. So even if you just want like a 10-minute personal training on it, let me know. Moving forward, like Youth Diplomats is like one of my main priorities. So I hope you guys understand that. Like I am fully dedicated to this program, so never hesitate to reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. We are officially colleagues, like genuinely, like we're doing this together. So you're one of us now, and I'm one of you. All right. Look for Slack, look for the Google Drive invitation, and also, ideally, I'm not promising anything, but ideally, we would love to have some sort of like socially distanced outside get together between all of the alumni in August. So we're thinking like a bring your own picnic at the Nelson lawn in August. So everyone will wear masks, we'll stay a few feet from each other, we'll be outside. So relatively low risk, but we're still going to assess when we get closer to make sure that it's appropriate and safe for everyone. But be looking for that hopefully in August. Any questions? I still can't see hands, so if you're raising.
Do we have an idea of when the next Youth Diplomats alumni meeting will be, like a planning meeting? Just a general idea, rough month time or something like that.
Yeah, I would probably look in about a month. So whether we're able to do it in person or whether we have to make it virtual again is still TBD, but look for it in August.
Okay. Most likely we'll not be able to attend an in-person meeting.
Yeah, which is more than fine. And we can always, it's not going to be, I think, it's not going to be as official and it's not going to be as intensive as this one was.
Okay. Thank you.
And if we were to do something in person, I mean, like when we say we would be socially distanced, like it'll be like paint on the ground, like you're not allowed within 7 feet of each other, like utmost ultra caution.
So, but still no pressure either way. That's just a dream. So hopefully it'll happen. If not, that's 2020. Just deal with it. So, all right. Does everyone understand the alumni program moving forward?
Yes.
Does anyone have any ending thoughts? Okay.
Much for, leading the program and planning everything and working to make everything great.
We're trying.
It has absolutely been our pleasure this year to be able to spend the last 10 months getting to know you all. And I so greatly appreciate how much everyone has rolled with the punches this spring. It's not the end of the year that we anticipated by any stretch of the imagination. But it's been great still seeing you all stay involved, and I'm really excited for some time in the distant future when in-person exchange programs restart, being able to put you all face to face with some international visitors. But between now and then, figuring out other ways to keep you involved virtually. So you guys have been wonderful, and thank you for being the most incredible first cohort of youth ambassadors or youth diplomats that we could have imagined.
Yep. Okay. Thanks again. Let me know if you need anything, and we will talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.